Let me answer your question in a very clear manner. There is mainstream Islam, which means a faith. Islam as a faith. God is one. God and his prophets are to be believed in. Then you have Islamism, which is, again, I don't want to draw comparison because of how bad ISIS and Al-Qaeda is, but it's similar to Christian nationalism, where people use religion as the foundation for political power. And that can get out of hand. What happened is the extremist Muslims used Islam as a bridge to power.
While I can agree that there are moderate Muslims out there who don't want to be taking over entire cities or entire countries and just want to be left alone to do their thing, the issue here is he's saying that Islam is just the faith, but Islamicism is like Christian nationalism and they want to impose everything. But here's the thing. Islam and Sharia, which Sharia is what he's talking about with the Islamic fundamentalism, are ultimately inseparable. Islam is the faith, right? It's your profession of what you believe in, essentially. But Sharia is how you live it out. It's the rules that you follow that are dictated to you in the Quran and the Hadiths. If you're a more moderate Muslim, you might not observe all the rules of Sharia. Like you might, if you're a woman, wear the hijab, which is one rule that you have to observe in Sharia. You might eat halal, but other than that, maybe not go super far with it. But for the ones who are actually very committed to what they believe, they will try to obey every single rule laid out in Sharia, which includes most famously jihad, which is separated into two groups. There's lesser jihad, which is like your moral struggle and stuff. But then there's greater jihad, which is where you work on trying to completely Islamicize a country. And this is what Westerners are worried about. Waging jihad isn't just warfare, though it certainly does encompass that. Jihad can also be increasing the population of Muslims, be it through childbirth or through getting converts. Jihad can be waged through voting for politicians who are friendly towards Islam, such as, for example, Zohran Mamdani. It can also be waged through actual warfare if, the infidel decides to stand up and fight back. He's sitting here, basically saying like, oh, you only need to be worried about the Muslim fundamentalists. You don't need to be worried about anyone else. That is bonkers to me, because even if the number of radical extremists are as low as 10%, which according to a college professor friend of mine is what he was allowed to teach as being like the maximum number of Muslims who are radical extremists. Even if it's only 10%, guys, remember, Nazi Germany, the number of members of the Nazi Party were only 10% of the total population. And look what they did to the entire continent of Europe. Imagine what 10% of 2.6 billion people could do to the entire globe.